Hey y'all, it's your girl Shalisco signing in once again. What's up? How y'all doing? What's up? Thank you guys so much for the support over my channel. Honestly, you guys, I am so thankful. Jesus, I'm thankful. I honestly appreciate everything you're doing in my life. Thank you. Honestly, you guys, we are growing each and every day, and I just want to say thank you. As you guys know, I update y'all on different things that are going on in terms of content, giveaways, or just different things that I'm up to in my life on social media. So if you want to know more about that, check out my social media platforms down below. As you guys know, we started a new mini-series last week titled Modern Feminism is Doomed. We decided to tackle decentering men first, going ahead in detail on how decentering men doesn't just affect women, but also affects men as well, different misconceptions that come up with the conversation, and what it truly means to decenter men from your life. Today, we're going to be dissecting the 4B versus the 5B movement. We're going to be looking at the history of the 4B movement, where exactly it originated from, and how it found itself in Western media. And then we're going to talk about the rebuttal movement, the 5B movement, and if it's really doing any good in our society. The 4B movement, also known as the Four No's movement, is a radical feminist movement that is said to have originated in South Korea in 2019. The supporters of this movement refuse to date men, engage in sexual intercourse, have children, or even get married altogether. The movement is said to have over 3,000 members on a famous online South Korean platform called Naver. The 4B movement gained broader recognition on Twitter in 2019 and through various feminist social media accounts. One notable feature of the 4B movement, as with other Korean digital feminist movements, is that the members often identify themselves as anonymous women, as it is conventional not to disclose personal details online. We're going to quickly take a look at the two notable feminist movements that have happened in South Korea in the last 10 years, which is the Escape the Corset movement and the Me Too movement. The Escape the Corset movement started in 2016, and it was a call for women to liberate themselves from sexual, social, bodily, and from psychological oppression. The word corset is used by Korean feminists as a metaphor for the societal mechanisms that bind and repress women, such as toxic beauty standards. The members of the Escape the Corset movement criticize and resist cosmetic procedures, demanding skincare or makeup rituals, and the adoption of trendy clothing, all seen as perpetuating consumerism and misogynistic social norms. In protest to these things, they express their defiance by destroying makeup, foregoing cosmetic enhancements, shaving off their heads, and rejecting fashionable attire. Along with Escape the Corset movement, the Me Too movement originated in the United States in 2006 and gained popularity in 2017. Many other countries, including South Korea, created Me Too movements of their own. The Me Too movement in South Korea, like other countries around the world, encouraged women to express their experiences of sexual harassment to inspire social change. Soon after this, in late 2017, several hundreds of women came forward to talk about their claims of sexual harassment and violence. This movement led for women who were forced into sex work as a result of the World War II that happened and the Japanese occupation of Korea to speak out for the first time and in large numbers. It is said that the purpose of the 4B movement is to serve as a direct opposition to South Korea's patriarchal state and to combat its pro-natalist policies, which views women's bodies and reproductive abilities as tools for the state's future. Although the 4B movement advocates for societal change through online activism, in-person demonstrations, and also a new lifestyle that women can truly live by, their focus is not on changing the perspectives of men, as they view them as the oppressors. And I can't really blame them for that. Because of movements like the 4B movement, childbirth and marriages have hit their all-time low. Mind you, this country is known for its children and the amount of marriages that they have. So for them to hit a point where they're at the lowest of lows really tells you that this movement has taken this country by storm. The social media controversy began to spark spring of 2024, where South Korea's 4B movement began to gain traction on TikTok, where people made claims that their low birth rate was due to the 4B movement. There were others who said that this was quite an exaggeration and things were blown out of proportion. It is easy to say that because the 4B movement is not widely practiced all over South Korea, that it hasn't really made a dent on the childbirth and marriage situation in South Korea. But I'd have to say that just because something is not widely practiced doesn't mean that the different methods and practices done in said movement is not infiltrated in some kind of way in the way that our society is set up. For instance, many people don't really agree with the feminist movement. They think that feminism is a whole bunch of jargon and it doesn't make any sense. A lot of the people who practice it are radicals, and it really doesn't push our society forward because there's certain people who are going ahead to make feminism look bad. Just because there are certain people out there who don't agree with feminism doesn't mean that there aren't practices to this very day in our society that we inherently practice that come from the feminist background, but people just don't want to admit it, or they don't realize it till the very end.
Hey ladies. I saw a video the other day on here. I'm going to tag it below if I can find it. But it was basically this woman expressing how this whole movement to decenter men is making some women feel isolated and making them feel guilty and ashamed when they are in less than perfect relationships. She was basically saying why do I have to be made to feel bad for the fact that I just wanted to fall in love? Why can't I continue to receive support from my friends that I don't listen to? And I've been looking for the words to answer that question. I haven't been able to quite find it, but I saw a tweet today that made it click in my head. Go with me here. The tweet was a screenshot submitted by a man to an advice column type of thing, I think. I should have screenshot it, but I forgot. I'm sorry. But basically, in the screenshot, he was saying that he has a wife who's 8 months pregnant, and for her whole pregnancy, she has not had any pregnancy craving. Or so he thought. Turns out she has had pregnancy cravings. Obviously, she's pregnant. She's just been paying their neighbor to help her with these cravings when the time comes, instead of going to her husband who she got pregnant by. Then he also was saying that she didn't have morning sickness for this whole 8 months, or so he thought. She did have morning sickness. She just didn't feel comfortable telling him about it, so she was going to her sister and her mom and talking to them about it, instead of the man who impregnated her, whom she is married to. So he confronted her about it, and she basically said that at some point, prior to her pregnancy, he expressed to her that women who complain about things like that are whining. So she didn't want to be a whiner. So now she doesn't emotionally depend on him for things like that because she doesn't want to make him feel bad. So instead of going to your husband who put this baby in you, who you're supposed to be able to go to about anything, you're depending on neighbors and your friends and your family for things that he should be dealing with. And that is why we are so adamant about holding women accountable for the decisions that you make in your romantic decisions. That's why. Because when you start dealing with this man and we all sit around and tell you, hey, these are some red flags you're ignoring. I don't think that this is a good idea. Maybe you should end this. You don't want to listen because you're so insistent on falling in love, which is okay. But if we're all telling you this is not the man to fall in love with and you don't listen to us, what happens when he inevitably proves us right? Now we are the ones who have to give our resources, both physically and emotionally, to pick up the pieces that he broke because you didn't want to listen. And as your friends, as your family, as your community, we're going to do it because we love you, but we have a right to express that this is not really cool and to say that you should be held accountable for that because this is your decision. It reminds me of a friend I had 2 years ago. She was messing with this dude who she had no business messing with. I told her that. She didn't want to listen. They weren't in an official relationship. They were doing everything that people in a relationship do. So I guess it was some sort of situationship. I don't know. They worked together. One Saturday night, all three of us went out. We were out all night. She and I stay in one city. He stays 45 minutes to an hour away. After we went out, I went home. I thought we were going home together. She went to his house. I said, okay, cool. The next morning, she had to be work at 7 a.m. and she's blowing my phone up, talking about she left her work badge and her key to get into the building at his house. She left them at his house and she's calling me, who's an hour away, asking me, can I go to his house to go bring it to her? I said, why are you not asking that man who you're giving free coochie to? She's like, oh, he's busy. He can't do it today. What is he doing? You ask? It was his day off. He was sitting at the house. Yeah, you did. You heard that correctly. She left her work things at his house. They have the same job. He goes to that job the same time that she goes to that job. He just happened to be off that day. And living 5 minutes away, he didn't even want to bring her the stuff that she forgot that she needed to get into her job. So you're calling me, who was out just as long as you were, but lives an hour away and you want me to do it. Then when she got off work later that night, she needed a ride home, and who was she calling? Me, instead of that man who had you out there, who lives 5 minutes away. And me being a good friend, of course I went and got her, but I'm gonna tell you, you should not have to be calling me for these type of things if you got a man. If you're giving a piece of yourself to that man and he can't even get up on his day off to drive 5 minutes down the road and make sure that you can get into your job, something is wrong. That's the type of stuff that we're talking about. That is why we are so adamant about holding women accountable, because this does not just affect you, because you're not going to do it by yourself. You're going to get with this man that everyone told you not to get with. And when he shows you exactly why you should have left him alone, when he abandons you, when he leaves you, when he does you wrong, you're going to be looking at us and you're going to want some of my money. You're going to want some of my resources. You're going to want me to stay up all night on the phone listening to you cry about this man that we all told you not to be with. You have a right to do what you want to do, but as your friends, we have a right to have a problem with it. I know being held accountable sucks, and I know that it hurts to be on the side where you just want to fall in love and you don't understand why nobody can see what you see in this man. Yes, that hurts, but there's no other way to do it. I mean, I don't know what you want us to do.
Now, the rebuttal to the 4B movement was the 5B movement, which was men just leaving women alone. Men thinking that they should just focus on making money and they shouldn't engage in dating apps or social media. They shouldn't catcall women or buy them dinner or drinks because they're choosing not to be traditional women anymore. They're not choosing to date men or engage in intercourse or have children or get married. So therefore, men are like, you know what? We don't want to deal with you guys anymore. We're waiting for more traditional women to deal with. And to be honest, that sounds like a really good idea. Y'all and y'all pick-me's can choose each other. We want no parts. We want no parts. Now, with seeing the 4B movement and the 5B movement and understanding both backgrounds, we can say that there's clear miscommunication and there are people who don't want to understand each other. Like, I understand the basis of the 4B movement, especially where it's coming from, South Korea. Understanding that they still live in a very heavy patriarchal society, and a lot of these women feel bound to the standards that they live by. But now coming up with a movement based on women rejecting societal norms in order to have a better life and saying, you know what, all together, us as men, we don't want to engage with women at all. I think you're missing the point. You know what I mean? Like, you're missing the actual point of these movements. Instead of understanding the plight of women and seeing why they're coming up with these movements to begin with, you're just saying, oh yeah, we just don't want to engage with y'all no more. And the women that want to engage with us will engage with them. The women that are traditional and follow societal norms will engage with those women because they won't create a hassle for us in our society. Do you see what the problem is? Instead of analyzing the situation and understanding the faults and how to improve, you're choosing to just completely throw critical thinking into the garbage, into the sea, and just deciding to just, follow women that won't put up a fight or have any issues or arguments with the way things have been in the past, even though they have detrimentally affected women for decades, if not centuries. But anywho, I think with these movements, we really need to sit down and understand the basis of them instead of coming up with quick responses as a way to seem like you're getting ahead of something, even though it looks like you as a person, you've regressed in your thinking. I'm not trying to call nobody out. I'm just saying that it's better for us to understand where people are coming from before we speak. It's like listening to be able to understand, not necessarily listening to respond, and not reacting out of impulse. Does that make any sense? I truly applaud people when it comes to these movements because I can understand how difficult it may be changing your whole entire lifestyle in order to not only help yourself but people around you, and understanding that there's so many oppositions around you, and if you don't act fast, you can get derailed. All right, y'all, thank you guys so much for watching this video. I appreciate each and every one of y'all. And the question of the day is, what is your favorite soft drink? What is your favorite soda-like drink? I would have to say, for me, it would be Crush grape flavored or Crush cream soda flavored. I know. It just reminds me of my childhood. You know when you like open a soda can, but you don't open it all the way, and you just kind of force a drink out because it's not fully opened? Yeah, those days when you get like a chilled grape soda Crush, it just hits different. Honestly, it does. But let me know what yours is down below. All right, y'all. Thank you guys so much for tuning into this video. Honestly, thank you. And remember, God made you special and he loves you very much. And you can do anything you set your mind to with Christ, of course. All right, y'all. Peace.
You know what I'm talking about? Bring it back.